Alright, what's up everyone? My name is Matt and welcome back to another walkthrough video. Today's video is about saying the time. So we're going to learn how to say what time is it and then how to say the time in the most simple and easy way. Just things like 1:15, 1:30, 1:35, 1:45, 1:53, 1:05, 1:08, things like this. This PowerPoint lesson is available for download. Just click the link in the video description below and you can download it in minutes. As always, if these lessons are useful to you, please don't forget to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm and also subscribe to my channel. It really helped me out. I also have a second channel called Matt in China. You can check out videos I posted about my life in China. We actually just got back from a trip from Xishuangbanna, so if you'd like to check out that trip, just click the link in the video description below and you can have a look. Okay, without further ado, let's get into the lesson. Okay, let's have a look at this PowerPoint. I am not going to go through the beginning of the lesson as in all of my walkthroughs. If you want to check out how I do the intro to my lesson with all the rules and everything, you can pretty much click on any of the videos on my channel and you'll see exactly how I do it. So let's just skip ahead. Okay, you can put your review material here and let's just jump into the actual meat of this lesson. Okay, so I'm going to start this lesson by singing a song because today we're learning the time. And in order to say the time, you need to be able to say 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, right? You need to be able to say 45, 36, 37. So the first step is to make sure they can actually count by 10. Now, if this is grade 2 or grade 3, I would say most students can probably count to 100, not all, okay? But most can probably do it depending on where you are and how good their English is. But a good refresher is just to sing a song with them. In this case, I picked counting 10 to 100. So this is a great song by the Singing Walrus. You can find it at the address I put here below. And yeah, there's counting by tens, okay? 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, okay? So I think this is really important if you're gonna teach the time that you need to make sure either you're teaching how to count by 10 or just refresh their memory, okay? And then I'll do it here with them in class right afterwards. So we'll count together. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, okay? And I would do this a few times with them. They just heard the song, but you want to just say it a few times to have them get really good at it, okay? If you think your kids are a little bit lower level, you play a few games of this. You can make flashcards with these on them. Or you could teach it in the previous week at the end of the class, teach how to count by tens to make sure that they're going to be ready for this, okay? In English, counting, really the hardest one is counting 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, right? Because after that, it's all the same, 21, 31, 41, 51, it's all the same. So that's why I think counting by 10 and refreshing their memory of how to say like 40, 50, 70, 80 is important because once they know that, they can just say 85, 86. It's very easy, As long as they can count from 1 to 9, then they can count from 31 to 39. Okay, all they need to know how to do is say 30 then. Okay, so that's why I think reviewing how to count by 10 is really important in this lesson because it's going to lay the foundation for everything else. Okay, so in this lesson, we're learning how to say the time. Now I want to be clear here. I'm not teaching the students how to read a clock, okay? I'm telling them how to say the time, okay? And I chose the easiest way to teach them, which is to read the digital clock and to say the actual time with the numbers, not 5:30 or 5:15 or 5:15, okay? This is harder, and the way I see this lesson is it's a double lesson, right? You're reviewing how to count from like 1 to 60, essentially, right? Honing that skill and also teaching them to say the sentence, what time is it? And to say the time, okay? 5:15, 5:28, okay? I'm not teaching them how to read a clock. You'll find in grade 2, a lot of students can't really read a clock yet, even in their own language. So reading a clock and saying the time are two totally separate skills. I want to teach them how to say it in English, okay? 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7:15, 7:45. I'm teaching them to say it in English. I'm not teaching them to read a clock. Once they can learn to read a clock in their own language, they can easily transfer that into English. Okay, it's much easier to do that. Now, if you're teaching in a training center and you want to teach them to read the clock with the hands and everything, that's fine. I've done that myself and it's a fun lesson. You could include that. But if you're teaching a large class and you're focusing on English, right, you want to just focus on the English part. Reading a clock is not, like, it's not only in English. They can read a clock in any language, really. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that in this lesson, I'm not teaching them to read a clock. I'm teaching them to save the time. And I just want them to be able to say the easiest way, which is just to be able to say the hour and the minutes, okay? So 7:15. I'm not going to teach them 7:15. Now, in my school, in grade 2 and 3, a lot of students, not a lot, I would say maybe in a class of 50, you got maybe 5 who have learned how to say 1/4 after or 1/4 past or 1/4 the hour, okay? And it's fine. Like, I mean, obviously I learned how to say that as well, but I don't think it's as, like, it's not as practical to teach a large class something like that, because you're talking about teaching them the word half, quarter, after, past, to, all these other words in here, which are much harder, okay? So all I want to do is tell them how to read the time. And personally, I think being able to say 10:27, being precise, 10:29 is better than teaching someone how to say 10:30. Or, I just, in my mind, it's just more precise. Like if someone says, oh, it's 10:30, I'm thinking, is it really 10:30 or is it 10:32? Is it 10:27? What time is it actually? And I know that all over the world, I think people learn how to say this half past, quarter past, whatever. It's fine. Like if I'm going to teach older students and they can already say all the numbers and everything, yeah, it's a great lesson to teach, to grade 4, grade 5. Make sure they can say it. It sounds more sophisticated or something to say it this way, but in my mind, being able to say the actual time, 10:16, is better. Because when I ask someone what time it is, I want them to tell me the actual time. If they tell me it's 1/4 past, I'm thinking, is it really 1/4 past or is it 10:11 or 10:18? What time is it exactly? Because that can make a difference if you're going to be going to a meeting or about to start class. You want to know the exact time, because having 2 minutes to get somewhere as opposed to having 1 or 30 seconds can make a difference of you being late or being on time. So this is just my own personal rant about this, but I think being able to say the actual time is better than being able to say 1/4 past. Because my dad would say stuff like that to me. Oh, it's 1:45. And I'd be like, 1/4 to what? He would assume that I knew what hour it was. Or he would just say it's 1:45, and I look at the clock, and it was like 10:49. Like, okay, it's not really 1:45 now. It's 11 minutes to the hour, right? So in my mind, it's just better. And when you're teaching small students, you want to make sure that they, like I said, this is a double lesson. They're learning how to count by tens. You're making sure they can say all those things like 38, 47, whatever. And you're teaching them to say o'clock, whatever. So I think this is the most important thing for this lesson, and I just want to emphasize that. If you want to teach how to read the clock with the hands and everything, that's fine. Like I said, you can do that, but in this lesson, that's not the focus. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so teaching part 1. Now, the first thing I want to emphasize is that, as with all my lessons, first thing I like to do is show the word I want to teach in their native language. In this case, it's Chinese, and see if they know it. Okay, I want to see what their level is. I want to see which words they know and don't know. And so I'll just show them this, with some pictures, and have them raise their hand and see who knows it. So someone tells me the word time, good job. Give that student a point or not. It's up to you. You don't have to give a point out. I mean, you could. But it could, if a bunch of students are raising their hands and then choosing one student to get a point, it's not really fair. So the way I do it is in one of the classes, for example, if a lot of students are raising their hand, then I'm not going to give a point. But if no students are raising their hand, then I have one student raising their hand, even if other students do know it, but they're not volunteering the answer, I'll call on that student who's being brave, who raises their hand, and I'll give a point. Just to encourage them in the future that there's the possibility of getting a point from raising your hand. And then in the next class, you'll see that a bunch more students will raise their hands. Okay, so first thing I do here is I'll show what I want to teach them in their native language. In this case, you can also show them this, because this doesn't really tell them how to say it in English, it's the same thing, So you can show them both and then see who can say it. So in this case, probably have some students in grade 3, maybe, and a lot of students in grade 3, depending on what school you're in, who can do this. In grade 2, maybe not as many. And so I'll show them like this, and then they say 1 o'clock or 1 o'clock. Both are okay. The whole class says it together. You could drill it by row, however you like to drill, and then move on to the next one. So it's rinse and repeat. Okay. Then at this point, they probably be able to figure out that it's 2 and then o'clock or 2 o'clock. Both are okay. I'm American, so I say o'clock, but o'clock, both are okay. I like to emphasize that to them, that both ways are just fine, you know, and move on to the next one. 3 o'clock, whole class can say it. Move on to the next one. 4 o'clock. It's very easy, right? Now at this point, like, they're going to be able to do it pretty easily. They get it. You know, they're saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock. Okay, it's very simple. So you can just go through it quickly, and they can say it together, and you can move past. Okay, this part of the lesson is the easiest part. Essentially, you're just reviewing how to say 1 to 12 and adding the word o'clock. So it's not very difficult. Okay, so just play do something quick to practice. In this case, it's very simple. I'll tell them, you know, one of the times will flash. The first student to say the time can get a point. Okay, so I'll push it. 5 o'clock. Okay, they all say it as fast as they can, but I noticed that one student was faster. That student gets a point for their team. If they all say it together, I don't give any points. Okay, I'm looking for the student who's saying it really quickly. And so let's say a student says it really quickly, 3 o'clock. Then I have them stand up, say it again, 3 o'clock. All right, very good, very clear. Because when you play a game like this, if they're saying it really quickly, they're just going to blurt it out, you know, and they might not say it clearly. So after they blurt it out and they get a point, then the whole class can say it together, or that student can say it proudly, clearly. 10 o'clock. Okay, good, points. 4 o'clock. Stand up. 4 o'clock. Good job. Get a point. Okay, and rinse and repeat until they've said all of them. You can even, before you go to the next slide, like, go through each one again, point at them. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. That's totally fine. All right, teaching part 2. So in teaching part 2, it's getting a little bit harder. Now I want to see if they can say these two things together. 7:15. Again, if any of the students want to say 7:15 or 7:15, I'll tell them it's right, but that's not what we're focusing on today. You know, we're saying it the easy way. So don't discourage them from saying that. Like, if they say, you can say, good job, but like, just tell them, today we're saying it this way. You know, this is right too. You know, so they can learn, you know, to follow the directions of the teacher. Like, I get it. It is 7:15. Okay, that's right. But today we're saying 7:15. You know, so you know, you can drill it with the whole class. Show this one. Have students raise their hand. They give you the answer. 1:15. Team 1, stand up. 1:15. Good job. Team 2, sit down. All right. This one, 9:30. Now, the actual Chinese here does say, you know, 9:30 or 9:30. And like, because I learned in the past, if I wrote it out like 9:30 in Chinese, like, it's strange because in Chinese they don't really say it like that often that way. So it's more natural to say it like this. So I show it this way, but I still tell them it's 9:30. And again, I'll just reemphasize, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole of teaching them like after, past, a quarter, to, like, all these things. That's like it's harder, you know. So I really just want to teach them how to say the numbers and with the time. So that's why I'm not going into all of that. Just want to reemphasize that so it's clear. They're both right. You know, it's up to the discretion of the teacher. If you want to teach it that way, it's totally fine. I just think it's better and more precise to teach it this way. Okay, 5:30. Have the whole class say it and move past. Same thing here, 11:15. You know, you can have the whole class say it. They're going to get pretty good at this now, you know, depending on the level of students, but they're going to be able to do it. They get it, you know. All they have to do really now is be able to say this number, and it's fine. They're going to be able to get it pretty quickly. So you can move past you say them all, you know, and then I'm not going to go through all of them with you because, this is the important one. So this one is hard. You know, you even have a lot of adults who can't say this correctly. So I think, you know, here you're going to have some people stumbling. You know, they're not going to know how to say it. They're going to want to say 405 or 45 or something like this. So what I say with my students is, you know, this looks like a letter. What letter? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. What letter does it look like? And they'll figure out that it looks like an O. So it's 405. 405. All right, good. 405. And they get it. Okay. 405. Say it a few times and move on. 210. 820. The idea here is just want to show them a bunch of examples, you know, of like them so they get it. Okay, it's very simple. There's two numbers here, one number here, one number here. All I need to do is say this number and then this number, and I got it. Okay, 135, and let's practice. So I wouldn't do this the exact same way I did it before, because before it was just like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. It's more conducive to them just screaming out the answer quickly. In this case, they're a little bit harder, and if you have them saying it fast, they're going to say it wrong probably, or you're not going to be able to tell if they're saying it right. So I think it's better to bring up, one student or two students, and either point at one of the times and have them say it, or in this case, you can just bring up one of them and like you've already pre-programmed it here, like which one it's going to be. So it doesn't seem unfair. You bring up a student, this one flashes, he says 11:20, and then good job. You can just give him a point, or you can give him the die, have him roll the die. That'll be more exciting, and I think, having like a die or a sticky ball or pull a card or pull a popsicle stick with points on it would be a more fun way to do it. But if you don't have a ton of time, then just give them points and have them sit down. Bring up another student, they say 410, good job, points, or like I said, have them roll the die. It's up to you. Just depends how much time you have. And rinse and repeats, okay? This is just like a little thing to get them more excited. And before you leave the slide, or even before you bring anyone up, you can go to each one and say 105, 1035, 306, 410. I tend to not do it that way because I want to see like who was paying attention in the previous part and how quickly they learned it. Like how fast are is my method working? Like the way that I just taught it, did it work? Because if I go through each one right now and say it, it'll really they can just memorize it right then, and then everything I show them, if I bring up a student, they just heard me say it 20 seconds ago, so they can say it. But so it's just different way of me assessing like how well did I just teach that? Do I need to do it differently next time? Do I need to use a different method? Okay, and yeah, I'll put up like before I move to the next part, I'll put up a quick little clip from my class so you can see how I did it in the actual class, and yeah, I'll do that now. How do you say this in English? Good. Everyone. 105. 105. Please say, roll the die. Roll the die. Roll the die. How many? How many? How many? Two. Boy's turn. All right, you boy. What's your name? My name is Dylan. All right, Dylan. How do you say this? Good. 7, 12. 7, 12. Everyone say, roll the die. Roll the die. 2. How many? 2. Girls' turn. All right, Melody, come on. How do you say this one? Good. Everyone. 10, 27. 10, 27. Roll the die. Roll the die. Roll the die. Don't say giant. You can say, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Sit down, please. How many? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4. Boys? All right, come on. What's your name? My name is Tab. All right, very good. Everyone, let's see if Tab can do it. Let's see. 250. Everyone, 255. 255. Roll the die. Roll the die. Roll the die. Sit down, please. How many? Okay, so the first official game is What's Missing game, and yeah, it's quite hard, but it's interesting. So pretty much I tell the students that one of the times will disappear or will be covered up, and you need to remember which one it is. So take a look. Look at all of them. Now you can even say all of them. 105, 210, 315. You can go through each one, and then you push it and it hides it. Now, I did it on purpose, especially for the first like 4 or 5, that I know exactly where this green square, this green rectangle, is going to pop up, so that I don't need to be memorizing it as well, because it's quite hard. But I was very impressed when I did this with my class that, I push it, and you got students who know. If you have a class of 50, there will be some really clever students who are like savants with this, who like can look at it and like they'll just remember, okay? And I had some like brilliant students who were just telling me what it was, and like unbelievable. I set it up so it's pretty simple for me. Like I kind of know where the order is to a certain extent. You can even make it more simple. You don't want to be too simple, because then they'll be able to predict. But here you can see I did the 4 corners first. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then top. Then it was bottom. This one here in the middle. Okay, I did it like that on purpose. Before I go to the next part, I'll show you a quick clip of how that went down in my actual class. I don't remember like if it went perfectly in the class that I'm showing here in the video, but I know that when I actually did it in my class, because I taught this 6 times, I have 6 different classes for grade 2, that it went quite well. Like there was more than a few students who were pretty good at it. And they would be like sitting there like and then they would come up with the right answer. I'm like, how? Unless they have like a photographic memory, are they knowing like which one I hit? Because like I couldn't do it. Even me, like a few of the times I'm like, yeah, like you can have like a cheat sheet if you're worried about it, like which ones, like what the order is or whatever, So it's funny, but yeah, I'll show a clip for you now. You can check it out.
Remember these words. You can do it. I believe you can remember. Look. Ready? No. In English. All right. I'll give the boys too. Everyone, 155. Ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't speak Chinese, okay? Don't speak Chinese. 3, go, 5. Next one. Look. Good. 12:25. Ready?
Okay, let's move on to teaching part 3. So in part 3, we're teaching the question. So like as always, I like to show them in their native language first, see if they already know it, see how close they are, if they're saying what time, okay, that's, it's not exactly right. Okay, I'm happy they're using the word what, because like in Chinese, the word what isn't even there. So I'm happy that they're getting that far, but it's not the proper way. So if they don't know, I'll just show them. If they do know, maybe I'll give a point if it was like one student who raised their hand. If there's a bunch of students, then I'm not going to give a point, as I said before. And then you can teach an action, like for each word. You can say, what time is it? What time is it? Or whatever you like. It couldn't be like, what time is it? Or whatever you like. It doesn't matter. Like, it's just, they're going to remember it in a lot of cases better if you tie each word in this question to an action. And so if in every lesson you're teaching a sentence with a bunch of actions and you can remember, what they are, like if is in all your classes is this action, is, or if it in every class is it, or it, or whatever it is, then you can build an entire, like sign language for your own class that they're going to know is the action you want for these words. But you don't have to do that, it's totally up to you. You can even change them. Time can always be consistent, and what, since you're using them a lot, like what can always be consistent. But for is and it, sometimes especially for something like it, I might forget. So you need maybe even have a notebook where you write down what all your actions are. And over the years, if you do this for a long time, you'll remember your it is always this, it or whatever it is. So what time is it? Say it a few times to the kids, and then, So in this case, what I would do is, for the first part, I would just show it here. So they say, what time is it with the action? I show them this, and I'll like signal to raise their hands and see if anyone is picking up that I want them to say, it's 6:20, not just 6:20. If they say, it's pretty natural if I say, what time is it? And someone looks at their watch and says, 6:20. It's not technically like wrong, but like they're Chinese teachers or like they're English teachers in other classes are going to want them to say, it is 6:20 or it's 6:20. So, try to be consistent with the way they're doing it. And I know that that's how they're doing it. So I do that as well. And it is better. Let's be honest. It's better to say it that way. But I'm just saying, a lot of native speakers, if you ask them what time it is, they might not say it. They might just say 8 o'clock, 5 o'clock. They might just say it that way. So I guess not technically wrong, but like people have the habit of not saying it's, but we want them to have the right habits. So I'm putting it there, and they should see that my answer here has it, right? It's clearly there. So let's see if they do it. If they don't, then I point and like see if they can, if I point at it and they're oh, it's 6:20. Good job. So for the next one, I bring up, now that they get it, I'll bring up one student or, from one team, they'll come up and I'll have that whole team say the question, what time is it? What time is it? And the student will see the time and he will say, it's 7 o'clock. Good job, 2 points. Team 2, one student from team 2, come on up. Team 2 asks, what time is it? And as I mentioned in previous videos, one great way to get them to all ask the question together is to give points, by how well they ask the question. Like if they all ask the question together, if everyone says the question, they can get 5 points. Or if everyone says the question and does the actions, they can get, 7 points or whatever. And be a stickler for like watching, like, oh, this boy or this girl is not doing it. Like this team can't get the full amount because that student didn't do it. And you'll have, after they understand that you're doing it this way, and the points in the class are generally pretty close, like it's down to the wire, it will encourage all of them to be saying everything, because they know if they don't say it, you're watching and they're going to lose points. So I would say, okay, team 3, one student comes up, team 3 asks the question, what time is it? What time is it? Good job, team 3, perfect. Team 3, 7 points. Okay, then the boy from team 3 says, it's 10:45. Good job, okay? And rinse and repeat. Okay, the main thing here is I want to get them to say this as many times as I can, okay? I am teaching a speaking class, okay? I'm not teaching a writing class. I'm not teaching a specifically reading class. Obviously, they're learning to read stuff since it's on the PowerPoints, and when you're learning a language, you see it written down, so they're learning to read it, but mostly I'm trying to get them to say it. Yeah, people can read in their head and understand the meaning, but can they actually move their mouth and their tongue and say it correctly? That's what I'm teaching, okay? And it just happens that in my school, that is my job. I am just like a spoken English teacher. I'm not teaching anything else. Like I have brought in worksheets to class before. It's fine, it's just a lot of printing. Like I have hundreds of students, so it's impractical. And if I know that if I bring in worksheets every class and half my class, the students are sitting down and reading stuff and writing answers, the school's not going to be happy. I mean, they hired me to get my students to talk. That's my job. My job is to get them to talk, get them to use the language out loud. Chinese teachers or whatever country you're in, their native teachers can teach them to understand the language. But their native teachers, they might not have great pronunciation or whatever. So that's the main reason that I'm in the school. They want the students to hear how to say everything correctly and practice how to say it correctly. So that's my job. So I designed these PowerPoints for that purpose. That's why I'm drilling everything and trying to make them say it as many times as they can so they get comfortable saying it with me. So Just wanted to emphasize that because I have people commenting to me like, oh, this is not the perfect way to teach ESL. I'm like, this is just one aspect of their ESL education. If you're teaching in a training center and you want to teach this PowerPoint, it's fine, you know, as either a jumping off point to teach them to speak, or it's part of your lesson. You know, you can have worksheets. You can use this to get them to learn the stuff and then have a worksheet. It can just be part of your lesson. It doesn't have to be the whole thing you're doing. It just happens that in my school, I'm given a task, right? I'm there once a week for each class, and I have 40 minutes to teach them a lesson. So this is the way that I found, like in my 8 years of experience, the most effective way to get them to do it. And if you're teaching large classes, your biggest issue is going to be classroom management. Like bar none, that's it. That's the hardest thing to do. So these PowerPoints are designed to help the teacher, you know, help you control the class with activities and drilling that is very clear, and you'll be able to have the students paying attention and focus, and it's interesting enough that they're all going to want to pay attention. And also the PowerPoint is a guide for you in class, so you don't have to remember what's next, what I have to do next, what's the next part of the scaffold, everything. The PowerPoint guides you. It's your guide. It's your, you know, it's showing you the way. And even if you forget, like, what's the next thing? Oh, you click on the PowerPoint and it shows you, oh, there's a game here. Oh, what's this game? Okay, here it is. You know, and then you just know exactly what to do. So the PowerPoint's a great tool to like lower the stress of the teacher. It just makes it much easier for you because there's a lot of things to focus on, you know, when you're teaching in a large class, like a lot of things to worry about, you know. So in this case, the PowerPoint just really takes away like, you know, I would say 60% of the stress of what you're doing. It's all there. It's visual. The students can see it, and yeah, it'll make your life a lot easier. All right, so let's move on. It's like pretty much rinse and repeat through here. Same thing, you know. Okay, so here is the next game. This is called Choose a Time. So the way I like to play this game is I'll bring up two students, one student from like each team. So in this case, let's say there's 4 teams. I'll bring up like one student team 1 and one student team 2. They come up and they rock, scissors, paper. And whoever wins the rock, scissors, paper gets to go first. Okay, so let's say the girl from team 1, she wins the rock, scissors, paper. Okay, I say, okay, team 1, ask her, what time is it? And then she can choose. Which one does she want to say? Does she want to say 5:30 or 3:45? She says, I want to say 5:30. She says, it's 5:30. Good. Woo, 3 points. She's very excited. She gets 3 points. She sits down. Then the boy who lost the rock, scissors, paper, his team asks him, what time is it? And he says, it's 3:45. Oh, wow, 4 points. So it didn't even matter that he lost the rock, scissors, paper, because like she didn't know like which one was going to have the most points, you know. So it's fair, right? Like she just chose the one that she wanted, but didn't mean that she's going to get the most points just because she won the rock, scissors, paper and the right to go first. So he'll be very excited because he just defeated her and he got 4 points. He gets 4 points. He sits down, bring up one student team 3 and 4. Same thing. They rock, scissors, paper, and the winner gets to be asked the question first and answer the question first and get points. Okay? Same thing, you know. In this case, the points are exactly the same. So now they're like, I understand what Teacher Matt's doing. He has the same points. Or does he? And in the next part, maybe thinking, oh, he probably switched it. Oh, but he thinks that we think he would switch it. So maybe he didn't switch it. So like I try to mix it up this way so that they're never really sure like what Teacher Matt's going to do, you know. And like if you download this PowerPoint, you know, this is all very adjustable. You can change it. You could even make it so there's no points behind it. It's like a die, which like symbolizes they need to roll the die, or it could be like a bullseye, which means they get to throw a sticky ball, or it could be negative points, you know. It could be a bunch of different things. I try not to use negative points too often because the students worry about it, and it like will cause not as many of them to want to volunteer because they're worried. And I have a lot of students asking me, are there negative points? Are there negative points? And I'll tell them, no, there's no negative points. You know, because when I play the game Keep or Give, there is negative points because that's the point of the game. You don't know if you're going to get points or lose points. So I would be very clear, like only use negative points sometimes because it will cause some students to be afraid to play. That's my experience. So it's the same thing, rinse and repeat. You know, bring up 2 different students. Ooh, 6 points. So pretty easy. They say the question, they say the answer, get points, and rinse and repeat. Okay, so the final game in this lesson is the spinning wheel game. And the way I have this set up is a little bit different than the way I had it set up in the video on my channel of this lesson. Originally I had it as 2 different slides. There was 2 different spinning wheels, and I would go back and forth between the 2 of them. And the reason will become clear in a second. So I just want to show you how I played it and how I set it up here, which is that there are 2 spinning wheels and they're color coded. So each color is corresponding to a different point value. Originally I think I had like the points underneath the time, but it just didn't look as clean. So I set it up this way so that the points are here and the times are here and the colors, everything's very clear, they can see it. So the way you can play this is very simple. You bring up 1 student or 2 students and they spin the wheels, okay? Their team asks them, what time is it? And they say the time. It's 10 o'clock, yellow is 7 points, it's 8:45, orange is 2 points. Okay, this is one way you can play it. It's very simple, and you know, it's just like the most basic way you can play this game. Okay, they spin the wheels, they say the time, they get points. Okay, but the way I discovered in my class, the most fun way to play this is as a, like it's a game where they have to use their hands to signal the time. So essentially, what I would do is bring up like 2 students if you have 2 teams, or 4 students if you have 4 teams. Have them come up and stand like not facing the board, so they can only see their classmates. And you you spin the wheel. And okay, there's the time. You tell everyone to be quiet, and you can use your hands to signal to the seated students that they need to use their hands, you know. And so like you can show them how to do it in the first round, and then have them raise their hands, and then like 1 student will stand up and you tell them like to do it this way. It might take a round for them to understand that they can't talk and you're not doing this so they say the time. You know, it'll take a round, I think, for them to understand that they just need to do the hand signals. Okay, even if you say it clearly, in grade 2 and 3, you'll have a lot of confused students. So it's just best to for them to learn from doing it wrong, essentially. So the student will stand up, hopefully, and one of them will do the thing correctly, and you're like, yes, 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 come here, and they'll do it, and then they can, the students can see. Or another way you can do it is before you even bring students to the front, you can do it a few times where like you spin the wheel, and you actually, everyone has a class does it in Chinese. You know, like this is 7, okay, 7, 8, 9, 6, 7, 8, 9. So in Chinese they have this. Obviously the other ones are simple, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, but 6, 7, 8, 9. So you could, just do it with them like this. They spin the wheel. We spin the wheel together, and everyone in the class does the hand signals so that they understand that you just want hand signals from them. You could do it that way, or like I said, you can just bring up 4 students and you could spin the wheel and then see how quickly they can figure it out. They're standing there and you say, be quiet, no talking, and they call on a student and they do the hand signals. And the first student in the front to figure out the time and say it correctly will get, how many points you want. You can have the points corresponding here, so it still can be 5 points if you want, or you can just disregard those points totally. You could even delete them if you like, and they just get points for being first, 5 points for being first or whatever. It's totally up to you. But try to emphasize with the kids that you only really want 1 student doing the hand signals, because then it'll be chaos of the students not knowing where to look, and in this case, if you're calling on 1 student to do the hand signals, all 4 students who are in the front can all see that 1 student. So it's fair. They're all seeing the same hand gestures. They're all seeing the same thing. So they're all getting an equal opportunity, based on the hand signals of that 1 student to produce the correct English. So I think it's more fair that way. If you have the whole class doing hand signals, okay, experiment. You can try it out. It might just be total chaos. There'll be a bunch of students who aren't sure how to do it, and they'll be confusing their teammates. So, or you could have 1 student from each team stand up and they're signaling for their own classmate. That's of course the way you can do it. It's totally up to you. But yeah, it's a really fun activity. The way I have it set up with the hand signal. So you can check out the video now and see how I did it in my class.
Listen to my directions. Stand here. Look this way. Look this way. Listen. Everyone, be quiet. If you talk, you lose 10 points. 如果你们说话，扣10分。Quiet. You too. Don't look here. Don't look. Look this way. Okay? Sitting down. Sit nicely. Don't talk. Here's how it works. Don't look. Quiet. 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 You need to use your hands. Use your hand. Raise your hand. I will call on one student. Okay? Stand up. Use your hands and make them guess the time. Not 2 o'clock. Try it. Not 2:10. Quiet, no talking. Alright, let's try someone else. Alright, who else wants to try? Alright, you try. Sit down, sit down. Good.
27.
No. 2:17. Alright, nicely. No talking. 现在我们正式开始. Let's begin. Okay? Sit nicely. Quiet. No talking. Don't look. Don't look. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Alright, yes. Good. 406. Say, I know. Don't say, oh, 我懂了. Say, I understand, or I know, okay? I understand. Good. 2 points. Alright, go sit down. Who would like to try? Alright, 1. 2. Alright, sit. Ready? Sit nicely, please. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get up. Yes. Okay, I will give 3 points and 2 points. Okay, she said it first. He started to say, good job. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. Good job. All right, who would like to try? All right, did you play it? All right, come on up and stand here. Ready? Sit nicely. Be quiet. All right, good. Say that again, please.
5:55.
Good, 5:55. Everyone say, what time is it?
5:55.
Good. Say, what time is it? What time is it? It's 5:55. Good job.
Okay, so that is the end of the lesson. At the end of the lesson, obviously, you want to count the score and award a star. And yeah, that's it. Okay, I really hope you found that walkthrough useful. If you did and you'd like to download that lesson and teach it yourself, don't forget there's a link in the video description below and you can download it in minutes. If you did find that lesson useful, please don't forget to smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and leave a comment below if you have any questions. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.